I saw Wicked for Good on its opening Thursday night, pretty much exactly 1 year after the first Wicked, which I also watched on its opening Thursday night. This review will be a unique one amongst most of the other reviews you'll find out there for this film, for either good or bad, as I have not seen the Broadway play these films are based on and knew nothing about the music going in. To show how little I know, I didn't even know until recently the significance behind Idina Menzel's cameo in the first film, as she was in the Broadway play. Oops. Also Kristen Chenoweth as well. I of course knew the basic concept going in, a Wizard of Oz story from the perspective of Glinda and Elphaba, aka the Wicked Witch of the West. I may not be a major musical fan, but I did think the first Wicked was quite good. Amazing production value, beautiful Broadway musical type quality, and amazing performances from Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Both were excellent in those roles. When I watched the film in theaters, I thought it was a bit too long, but watching it recently at home, I didn't feel the length. Maybe it's because I was at home, but everything came together to create an excellent film.
It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
The biggest thing that surprised me watching Wicked in the theaters for the first time last year was seeing in the movie that it was labeled as Part 1. That was a brilliant marketing move to not label it as a Part 1, as in recent years shows that promoting something as Part 1 doesn't really work out from a profitability standpoint. But with how Wicked ending and Elphaba embracing being the Wicked Witch, I wondered what else is there all that interesting to show in this story besides just remaking The Wizard of Oz? Again, from the perspective of someone who has not seen the play. But the only way to know was to watch Wicked for Good. I saw the film on Thursday night in regular format in a pretty big auditorium with a pretty decent crowd, although I am surprised there weren't more people in there, but it was a decent turnout. In Wicked for Good, Glinda and Elphaba's relationship becomes increasingly more complicated as the wizard and others pit them against each other. Naturally, this movie has the same great Broadway show type quality and flair as its predecessor. The costumes, the sets, hell, even the colors are beautiful to watch. In line with that were continued great performances from Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo as these characters. They were nominated for Oscars for the first film. I thought here they were just as good, even a bit better, because there was an extra level of emotional depth for them because of how the story played out. There were a good amount of ups and downs to how the relationship played out, which is good because the trailer made it seem like it would be a bit one note. There's your fun friendship moments with the two, sad and tragic moments. My favorite scene though was an actual fight they have Godzilla vs. Kong style. This scene was just really funny and I could have watched another few minutes of it. Is it weird though that watching Ariana Grande in this film, every 10-ish minutes I thought about that creep that attacked her in Singapore? Maybe it's just me. Really like Jeff Goldblum as well as the Wizard. Did not like Michelle Yeoh's character, but obviously you weren't supposed to. My favorite side character was Nessa, who we saw in the first film. Man, was that a sad story and how it played out here. One area that the first film definitely wins though is the music. I had never heard any of the first film's music before, but I was blown away hearing those songs. Popular, Loathing, The Wizard and I, and Gravity. Holy shit, were all of those sequences amazing. This movie has pleasant, pretty good songs as well. There's a song from Elphaba just before the third act gets started that was really whoa level of powerful. And of course the For Good song. But nothing for me quite reaches that showstopper level of the best beats from Part 1. The major thing that stood out to me about this viewing experience, and that was the most fun for me watching this movie, was it in the context of the classic Wizard of Oz story. This is where not knowing the actual Wicked play story enhanced the experience of watching this as a movie. Because I had no idea that certain characters from the first film were going to become some of the classic Oz characters from the story. One of which I admittedly feel pretty stupid not realizing that's who that character would become. But the other two, wow, was that unexpected. The tragic nature of it added to the wow factor while watching this play out. I always loved that whole Revenge of the Sith prequel type tragic nature to a story when done right. And it was cool to see that in the context of a Wizard of Oz story with the classic characters. A few of them definitely had their Vader no moment. But Oz characters brings me to easily the biggest, I don't know if you want to call it problem, but the weirdest thing while watching this movie, and that's what was done with Dorothy. This is not a story spoiler, as if you could really spoil Dorothy's story. But this movie makes her a faceless character, as in you never see her face directly. You only see her from the perspective of behind her head, or the ruby slippers, or even a shadow. Once you realize the movie is taking this approach, it becomes very awkward as the movie is weirdly editing around her in very creepy fashion, as if showing her face is like showing Michael Myers' face or something. I get what they were going for. It highlights how we're seeing the story from the perspective of Glinda and Elphaba, but it was just awkward to watch. I don't know if the play was done this way, but it's kind of weird for a movie. I also don't know if they tested filming these sequences in a traditional manner, but all I could think while watching this play out was, when the did Dorothy become a slasher villain? You did get to see Toto, so that was nice. What made up for it was the tragic prequel type nature for the other characters in the Yellow Brick Road group. Although one of their stories didn't really make sense with how it played out, but it did have a nice ending to it, so fine, I guess. But the movie did have nice pacing. Without the credits, it's about 15 minutes shorter than Wicked. For Good without credits is 2 hours and 10 minutes. The first film was like 2 hours and 30 minutes. 15 minutes may not seem like a major difference, but for a movie, it makes a world of difference when it comes to the pacing. There's a lot of content which helps out. I thought the movie was going to end up being basically a Wizard of Oz remake based on the trailer. It certainly was not that. Really enjoyed a lot of what was done here, minus the weird Dorothy stuff. But Glinda and Elphaba were the focus, and both of them were great. I did ultimately enjoy the movie quite a bit, but it wasn't as clean as part one, so that's why I won't call it excellent. Based on the response from the rest of the audience, I feel they mostly felt the same way. I do think my experience was again enhanced by not knowing the Broadway play, but like Dorothy, that's my own unique faceless perspective, I guess. There's probably plenty of reviews out there that'll compare to the play, which maybe I'll check out one day. I do now want the experience of watching both films in back-to-back fashion as one story, but I'd rather do that at home. I don't need 6 hours in a movie theater. Fuck that. So that'll do it for this review of Wicked for Good. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching.